Well, hello. This is Patrick White from the Vulcan Treasure Society, and I'd just like to say hello to all my metal detector buddies out there. And I just want to share something a little bit different tonight. Just a couple of stories from my former days a few decades ago when I was obsessed with the CB radio. Back in 1992, I picked up my first CB radio, which was a Uniden Pro 510XL, which was a very simple radio, very basic portable radio that you could plug into the cigarette lighter of your car, and it's just so basic, but it hooked me. I became, you have to choose a handle for yourself, and I became the Desert Iguana, and I would actually come to dominate the Channel 19 airwaves of Los Angeles, Riverside, San Bernardino, and Orange County areas combined. I was obsessed with the radio, and of course I had a 610 watt linear amplifier, which definitely boosted the 4 watts which I was legally allowed to have. And so in 1994, I was awaiting the test results for the NBRC to come back, which is the National Board for Respiratory Therapy. And so I was spending a lot of time in the car. I had modified my car by having a steel tube welded to the front bumper so that I could actually mount a 32-foot Alpha V5/8 home base antenna to it. I just stopped somewhere, anywhere, in a park or on a hilltop or anywhere that I would stop and I could get out. I could whip that antenna up within a minute's time. It was like 32 feet high, and I had access to one of the highest perches at the top of Fullerton Road, right there, like at the top of, in between Anaheim and Roland Heights, area right there, right in between, but I could see all around me. And so it just happened to be an old abandoned nuclear missile base that was left over from the Kennedy administration. And I would always camp by the front gate, which was always locked. It just happened to be the highest point that I could get to without going through the gate. So every day there was a rancher that would come by. He would check on his cattle and his wild horses that roamed free there on the hillside, because there was endless acres of land on top of there that his cattle and the wild horses ran free. So one day he comes up to me and he says, "Hey, I can actually use a hand keeping an eye out for intruders, because there's somebody that's shooting the animals with arrows, and there's actually strange evidence of weird occult activity here." And so he gave me the combination to the gate. This was good for me, because there were a lot of truckers and other people that they just did not appreciate my long-winded and repetitive speeches. One time there was actually $150 bounty on my head, just for anyone that would rat out my location. So I actually began living in my car in order to preach my message and to stay mobile, which was very important. So I would alternate many perches, of which, of course, the nuclear missile base was my favorite. And I was on the hilltop where no one can get me because I was behind the locked gate. And I had about a 270-degree field of view of Los Angeles. I could see Big Bear, Long Beach, Anaheim, Riverside, Costa Mesa, Pomona, Pasadena, and the City of Industry. But I had to move around to the other perches regularly, because the CB freaks, they can triangulate and find you, and then they want to off with your head. But anyway, just let me explain that I was running a modified radio that was peaked and tweaked to be extra loud. And I was running legal power, and of course legal is 4 watts, and I was swinging in excess of 1,000 watts, coupled with the fact that I was using a base antenna on my car, and along with the elevation, which multiplies it again. I was so loud and proud, and when I keyed up, you either listened or you turned the channel, or you just turned your radio off. Another reason I could not have a home base station is because that when I keyed up, I would bleed through the neighbors' appliances, and they would hear me coming through their freaking toasters. You know, even though I had a perfect standing wave ratio in SWR, it was amazing. You know, I didn't want to disturb the neighbors. It was really, they'd be watching the TV game, and I would key up. And it was like during the touchdown catch, I would key up, and they would just see nothing but fuzz, and they would nothing. So I could understand how irritating I was. But so, let me get down to a couple of real funny stories that happened at that time. People would always ask, "Hey, Desert Iguana, where are you at?" And while I was on the perch, you know, at the missile base, I would just reply, "Hey, I'm right here on top of the Hotel Sheridan in the City of Industry." You know, I could actually see it about 4 miles away in a straight line of view. You know, I had so much juice, you couldn't even really tell if I was right next to you or if I was 30 miles away. You know, so one night, a couple of guys were out to get me, and they tried to get up on top of the hotel and get to me by trying to push their way past security, but they ended up getting arrested instead, saying, "We know he's up there. That Desert Iguana, he's on the top." You know, and they were hiding me from them. It was just hilarious, but they got arrested. It was so amusing to me. Anyways, so another time, and this is the real good one. This is just awesome. Is that I had another perch in Moreno Valley where my dad lived. But it was a time where there was a local CB club, and it was just a lot of drama going on. But so there was a hit out on me. They wanted to get me real bad, and so I had another perch that was a few miles away from our regular perch, and it was a straight, you know, line of sight. I could see the one night I went over. I went over to the perch, my auxiliary perch, where I was watching the perch where I normally was at, and it was at that perch was at the base of Box Mountain, and there's just a real hairy trail going up from the perch to the top of the hill. It was like at the base of the hill, and then there was the top of the hill where there was a bunch of high tension power lines and stuff going over into the next county. But anyway, they were out to get me, and so there was this guy that was supposedly my friend named Charlie, and the last time anyone had seen me, I was still on my motorcycle, and I had a crazy antenna. It was like a 16-foot base antenna. It was meant to be on a house that I actually put on my motorcycle, and I had a skull flag on it, and I would ride around, you know, and people thought I was nuts, and I kind of was. But anyhow, this one night, I hear Charlie come on the radio, you know, and everybody thought that I was at the perch, and he says, "Hey man, Desert Iguana, take it to Channel 13. So I go to Channel 13, and he goes, "Hey man, hey, where are you at?" And he says, "Man, I'm just above the perch on my motorcycle." And immediately it was nighttime, and I see all these headlights come on, and all of a sudden all these cars are scrambling around where they thought that I was. And it says, "Oh my God, here they come. I gotta go," you know. And then after a few minutes, all the lights went out, you know. I guess they gave up for a few minutes, and then Charlie comes back on, and he says, "Hey dude, hey, where are you at?" And I say, "Hold on man, they're getting too close. I'm just up the hill. I'm hiding in a bush on my motorcycle. I've got the motorcycle turned on its side, and that way they can't see me, but they're getting too close." And then all of a sudden all the lights come on again, and this happened several times over and over again, you know, like over about the course of an hour, because they just knew that I was up there, and they were so determined to get me, driving their vehicles up a road that was really just meant for the vehicles that work on high tension power lines, because that's where the road went. You know, it just went up. It was just a hairy trail that went up the side of this hill. And I watched one by one as every single one of them got stuck on the hillside, trying to get higher and higher to get to me. Oh man, I'm telling you, I had such a good laugh about that.